Hello everyone, welcome to Journey into an Unknown World. I'm Dr. Margaret. People know me, I'm also a professor. I've been studied in everything metaphysical, alternative medicine. So from psychology, psychiatry, nursing, walking a pathway through mediumship, healing, lecturing, teaching all over the world, training people to be ministers, healers, lecturers, teachers, and so on. And here I am today doing my radio show once again. I must apologize for my followers that I haven't done a show in the last few weeks because, yes, I got the bug. And of course, everyone else around me got the bug, so, things got held up. But here we are back again. And what I'd like to talk about is the changes upon us. Because we have to realize that every time that we try in some way, shape or form to keep things the same, no matter how much we try to keep things the same, they change every day, moment to moment. So I thought I'd give a little talk about how, in the first place, you've got used to change without even knowing you have. And then we'll go on to what you can do in the future in this hour to have yourself move on into a brighter future with much more fun and enjoyment within your consciousness, allowing you to emotionally enjoy life. So let's go back in time. One would assume that you're obviously an adult listening to this, so no matter what your age is, if we go back to when you were 3, 4, 2, somewhere around 6, you are making your major awarenesses about how you see, hear, feel in the world, and also, of course, what is right to do and what is wrong to do, and all these rules and regulations that come at you. Well, what you have to realize is that those were foundation stones that you could build upon. And I would say this, that I noticed over the years of many years of dealing with many patients, clients all over the world, that there is always a common factor that one believes the parents, whether their parents are right or wrong, and copycats them, and says, this is the way I perceive the world because my parents taught me to receive the world this way. Now, I, for example, being born in England, and as you can all hear, have a very English accent, was told that I come from an upper class and background, and I should speak well, and I should behave well, and I should be a living example of walking around the world showing my ladyship. Okay, what does a 5-year-old know about being a ladyship? And obviously I'm not really a lady as in a history background, though yes, we did have that 3 generations back, but that's gone and that's the past. So why would I want to build a future walking around like a first-class lady with servants and all things that I never had, never would have, and never wanted, and yet here I was told, behave as though you have got them. So, of course, one goes into school and one behaves accordingly to what teachers and all the people expect you to do. And while you're listening to them, if you say talk and you get given 100 lines for talking, okay, punishment. That's not fair. I was only telling the girl behind, stop poking me in my neck with her pen. Okay, who wants to listen to that? Nobody, because you're disrupting the class and the teacher hasn't got time to worry about what the girl behind you is doing. So who gets punished? You, the innocent person. Okay, how many times throughout your life do you think that you've been punished wrongly, that it was someone else's fault and that it wasn't fair to you? But let's step back from that and say, as a result of those horrible kids that came in and out of your life and the adults and teachers that blocked you from being you by telling you to behave in the way they wanted you to behave, what did you become? What did you learn? How did you become stronger because of them? Having that fighting part of you in there that's come up and is saying, hey, I'm not this little wussy person. There's something deep inside me and it's saying, change. You can think things differently. Well, of course, society says you have to fit in with the tribal consciousness. I'm clearing my throat because, yes, I, like you, am going through changes right now. You know, having traveled all over the world and standing in front of people as many as 200 or 300 at a time, and coming home to being on a Zoom class, it's a very big difference. But I want you to know right here and now that if you are interested in wanting to learn with me online, I'm currently working on getting my levels introductory and level 1 psychic development audio. So if you're interested in that and you want to have your psychic ability as part of your change, the transformation into seeing the world through new eyes, that's the course you'd like to do. My students who are studying it with me right now in person are being very kind for me and allowing me to record everything, and I will be putting it up in a while. Probably in March, so watch out for it. So if you'd like to know, you can go to sumarisucc@gmail.com, or you can go to easypeasysolutions.com and leave your name, address, email address, that is, your phone number too, because I probably want to talk to you and find out where you're at, what space you're coming from if you're coming into my class. And of course, I'd like to know your complete interest, because you might not just be interested in psychic ability right now, because a whole bunch of people are coming back from being sick and they want to know how they can get back to full health. And that might be interesting to you to learn from me, beginners crystal acupuncture and pterogram therapy, my 2 therapies that I have been teaching all over the world, which are very powerful. Yes, I got rid of Parkinson's disease. Right? So, I really am a living, walking example of how crystal acupuncture and pterogram therapy do help you to overcome all these negative thoughts, all these things that people have said to you. And this is part of the problem for many people right now who want to change, because you're running those memories of all those people who used to say to you, you have to behave in a certain way, you have to talk in a certain way, you have to pay attention and stare into my eyes and make sure that I know that you're literally watching. Well, of course, we don't really stare into people's eyes. We look and glance away and think over what they've just said and look back and see what they're saying. But more importantly, what were we doing? We're watching their facial expressions. And I have talked about this on my show with Katie Kamara, Dr. Margaret and Dr. Katie Speaks. And I'm afraid we've been off air for a couple of weeks because of the virus and other things happening around us. So forgive us, but yes, we'll be back soon. Meanwhile, I'm coming back to doing my show, and here I am talking to you. So I want you to realize, we recognize that you're as human as everyone else, and you're going to make mistakes. You're going to forget what you did. And yes, you might not even remember where you were chastised or punished, while others are deep in the sorrow and sadness of what was done to them, whether it was a brother, sister, uncle, aunt, abuse situations, literally, in many different ways, from psychologically, tone, sound, voice, connection, to physical touch that shouldn't have been done, and so on. And I'm sure all of those listening know exactly what I mean. And those experiences in the past have blocked you from enjoying your life in the world. And here you are, an adult. And no, it's not about going out and telling the world how bad it all was, because that keeps you in the old style of thinking. It keeps you in the old pain, the fear, the pain, the anger, the guilt, the loss. And here I want to say, if you're interested in dealing with your issues, I have 2 ways to help you. One is one-on-one with me on Zoom. We arrange a time and I go through your life, not you, through your life with my spirit guides and your spirit guides, and I tell you everything you've been learning and what you've been doing. And yes, it is a 2-hour session, and yes, it is more expensive, but you will never be the same person afterwards, because you will look at yourself in a whole different point of view, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. You'll find that after you have that kind of information, you will listen to it very often because you can't take everything in that's given to you all at one go. So over time, you'll work with me, and if you want a package deal, then I can work with you. We have you coming back every week so that we make sure you're doing well, and if you've got questions, I answer them, and if you need new information or hypnosis or a meditation I need to make for you, it'll be done. And this is all included in my one-time fee, which I'm not pushing now. I'm just saying that it's available. And so if you'd like to know more, you can easily write to me. I'm going to give you 2 emails I have. DR for Dr. Margaret, Margaret, RVC for Rogers Van Coots, just the initials, @gmail.com. Now, if you're wanting to learn from me and join classes, I'd like you to use that address. But if you want a session with me and do private work with me, then I'd like you to use PROF, Professor, short version, PROF, then Margaret, Margaret, RVC @gmail.com. And then my girl will let me know that you want to make an appointment, and we will call you back. So please leave your phone number. And if you're in another country beside the States, then okay, leave your email address and I'll be writing to you that way. Or I might use one of the free things like Facebook to call you or something. So, whichever way suits you, leave me a message in your email and we will get back to you. Coming back to the change now, if you can imagine that you've let go of your fear, pain, anger, guilt, and loss, and are now having a free mind, a free heart to explore, you'll need courage. You'll need support in understanding what you can do and how you can do it, and discuss different things as they come up relative to you starting to walk the new pathway. Now, before you want to do that, you may well want a reading where I'm going to tell you what is coming up, what you need to look for, how you can embrace the changes, you personally, because no 2 people see anything the same way. And then when you understand that you do have the power within you to walk away from your history, or to stay in what you're in because you still want it and need it for growth, but you have a different point of view on it. And that gives you a new advantage to be able to go on with your growth, in spite of the people around you who might still be holding on to you, holding you back. My example for me over the years was my husband had a heart attack and had a triple bypass, which the doctor said could never be done because his heart was on the way out, the back part was dead. I said, no, it isn't. Come to me. We did a lot of healing work over a year, and he revasculinated, to even say the word, grew a new vein from an old tiny vein at the back and the top of the heart, and that went all the way down the back of the heart and resupplied the inner part of the heart to have all the blood it needed. And as a result, he had a triple bypass on his heart, and I was able to keep him alive for 17 years thereafter. Yes, I'm saying he passed on. It was ready. He knew he was time for it, and I was ready to allow him to leave. I wasn't struggling or holding him back. And by talking about this, I want you to understand that change comes in many forms. It could be the loss of a loved one, and it could be hard to lose them. But that is part of the change, giving you freedom to be able to move on and do all the things that you couldn't do while you were weighed down by the sick person. It could be a child, it could be an adult, but whatever it is, don't cry for the loss. Be happy for them, because now they're in the oneness and they're looking down on you and they're saying, please go and do the things you want to do. Find your artistic side. Go and play, go out and enjoy yourself. Well, my husband's been gone 2 years. I've been busy fiddling around trying to get all my classes together and carry on working as usual. And here I am finally saying, okay, I'm going to go work out. I'm going to play golf again. I'm going to go singing again. Well, I'm just starting. And hey, you should be just starting, because the planets have freed us up finally. They've moved on. We don't have Mercury retrograde. We don't have Uranus retrograde. We're getting more energy, impulses in our brain, if you like, from that planet, to think, what alternatives are there? What have I always wanted to do and I've never ever given myself the courage or the time or the effort to go out and do it? Well, this is the time. Pluto's giving you that power. It's time for you to realize Saturn is saying, you've learned your lessons. Now go bandish them away. It's like give them out. Share whatever your experience is over the years with those who are still seeking guidance. So here I am trying to reach out to you and help you move on and change. Now, change can be a little bit scary, can't it? Because, for example, if you're living in one town and you want to move to another town, are you running back home to mummy and daddy and getting yourself ready to understand, shall we say, your parents now that you're older and dealing with their issues as well? But I want to say here, this isn't a time of take care of them. This is a time of see what they've done for you. And if there is any negativity, understand it, flip it over and say, well, as a result of them being this way, I learned to be stronger, I learned to be wiser, I learned to go off on my own journey and live without them. So in some way, whatever they did set me on a pathway to find me. So it's not bad, it's actually good. And now this is the time with the change. You found you, or you're finding you, is to go out and find other people like you. Now, we have a saying, birds of a feather flock together. So yes, there's going to be a lot of people just like you who are seeking friendships of people just like you. So joining a group, going to a choir and singing, if that's what you like to do, or going down to the local golf court, or greens, get the right word, or tennis, which I play, and go out and have a game. And don't try and be Superman or Superwoman, trying to be in your mind extra special, because that was what you were trying to do as a child. And you can't, as you've learned throughout your life, please all of the people all of the time. But you can please you all of the time. And this is that time to go out and play. And I mean underlined, play. No, I have to tell you this story. It's awful, but it is wise to hear this. I was playing golf in Valley in LA, and it was a 9-hole. And I didn't actually see it, thank God, but there was a man who was so furious with himself because he didn't do it in 3 holes. He was doing maybe 5 all the way around. And he brought his iron down on one of the benches. The iron snapped in half, and the half flew straight into his chest, into his heart. And like that second, he was gone. And everybody was talking about it. This was about 20 odd years ago. So, it's okay to mention it, and I don't know who he was anyway. But you see how temper and the history was not giving him any pleasure at all. And as a result of his anger against himself, he harmed himself and he killed himself. Now, you wouldn't think that an iron would snap in two like that, but why would you even be thinking when you're angry? So turn things around. Find the joy. Okay, I've just taken, 5 or 6 shots to do a 3-hole on the golf course. So let's have a giggle about it and say, hey, that's not, at least I'm hitting it, and just go around and say, I'm on the grass, I'm hearing the birds, I'm seeing the trees, it's a lovely sunny day, see the beauty around you. And recognize it's all there for you to enjoy. The game itself, even if you're a professional playing it, is not meant to be stressful. You're supposed to be involved in it, so much so that your body and your iron become one, and you're just in the mojo of right, and boom, you hit it and you get a hole in one. Yes, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? But how many actually do that? It's usually a fluke. Okay, so realize if you get something like that, it's a bonus. Yay! Everybody celebrate the bonus. All right. And remember that as next time you go out, hey, I had my moment. So I can also have other kinds of moments, like losing it and not doing it so well. And whichever way the cookie crumbles, I can put that in balance. I can and I can't. It's okay. I'm in the middle. I am. I'm just doing it. It's not about how professional I have to be or how perfect, let's go over to some people like to be extras and hope they're going to be a famous actor one day. Well, I used to go and do a lot of that kind of backstage stuff throughout my life. And I'll tell you, when I was not trying to be anywhere in front of a camera, I always was, because someone felt me and felt my laid back energy and chose me to come and stand behind the talent. So I was in a load of movies, all over. I don't even know what they are. I stopped writing them down. Okay? If one is free and clear of trauma and tension, people feel that. They feel safe with you because you're not worrying. You're not tying a knot in your tongue and your heart and your soul. You're basically just being. And you're easy to be with then. And that's when people want to actually be with you because you feel good and that makes them feel good. But don't make the mistake of trying to carry them because they have to learn to feel good on their own. So don't be their fixer. Don't be their healer. Be their friend. So like if someone comes to me and they say, oh, I've got a real headache, my many years ago me would have said, oh, okay, get on the table, I'll realign your neck, I'll read this, I'll read that. Well, it still happens sometimes for my friends, but generally I'll say, what have you been doing? Oh, I've been doing da-da-da-da. Okay, just sit down, have a rest, breathe. I'll make you a cup of tea. Okay, maybe after a while they might say, oh, my headache's gone, thank you, I'm so glad I just came, your energy is wonderful, blah, blah, blah. And I say, yes, but so is yours. Your energy is wonderful. And when you calm down and you just sit there for a while and you breathe and you have, like I said, a cup of tea or coffee or whatever it is you drink, and just let the world go by for about 10 minutes, you will be amazed how much your body will repair itself. So here I want to say to you, this brain of yours, conscious mind here, only remembers whatever you see, do and touch it for 3 seconds. Now, if I said to you, what's a wombat, and you'd never seen one, you'd never been to Australia, you would, right now, you can do this if you don't know what it is, you would be trying to make sense of the word and trying to make it become something. And when I used to ask my Japanese students, they'd hear the word bat, so they think of an animal, and then they think it must be like a squirrel or something. But actually, when you see a wombat in Australia, they're marsupials. All the animals over there are. And it looks like a miniature mixture of a bear and a mouse. No tail. You might want to go online and have a look and educate yourself to what it looks like. So my point here is that if you haven't seen it, and you in your world, in your mind, it hasn't existed. Even if you saw it, you didn't know what it was in that 3 seconds, it's gone. But now I've taught you about it and explained it, and if you were that curious, you go online and type in WOMBAT and see what comes up. And then you would know. Okay, now you know that adds to your brain box in many different ways. So all those pictures you see then go into your subconscious. And time goes by and you might forget the wombat. You haven't even heard it for a long time, but out of the blue someone mentions it, and that's where you get that picture and pull it back into the front of your brain so that you go, oh yes, I remember looking at something online, and you'll pull it together. Now, when you see that picture of the wombat, you will also compare it with something else, like a teddy bear, or like I was saying the snout is a bit like a mouse. And so these kinds of things you might want to think about. And unlike the koalas, which can be ferocious, these wombats are really friendly. So you can't be afraid of them, all right? So you can't sort of sit there and say it's going to gobble me up in my dreams like you would when you're a child thinking about Dracula and some movie you've seen. You go home and you know, and I did that, and I used to put my teddy across my neck because I didn't want it to be sucked. Of course, now I'm an adult, I look back and go, how stupid could you be? But in those days, at that young age, you believe those things because you've seen it, it's been on the movie, and is someone acting it all out, and it looks so real. How do you know whether there is really a vampire or not? Well, I can tell you there are vampire people. They come into your life and they moan and groan and they tell you they can't and this and that, and the next thing you know, you're giving them your life's energy. And they go home, they feel better, and you're sacked. And you think, why? Oh, I'm so exhausted. I don't want them in my house. And lo and behold, the next day they're banging on the door, come back for more help. And you don't want to be seen as someone nasty, so you just let them in and help them some more. And they go off again, feeling much better, and you're exhausted again. If you're living with someone like that, hey, they're a Dracula sucking your energy because you are being a willing victim. So this change is about not being a victim anymore. You need to be able to say to the people who would drain your energy, you need to say to them, I'm sorry, I know you're going through it, but you have to stand on your own 2 feet and figure it out for yourself. Now, for example, I have someone with me and I'm helping, and I'm doing that freely. So if I'm going downtown, I take them downtown. But no, I am not going to put myself out and run around in circles and drive all over town. And that person also knows that they don't need me to do that anyway. But what if they did? I'd have to say, no, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I have someone coming to see me, or I'm making a show or doing something, whatever I'm doing, because I cannot put myself in a pressure mode trying to squeeze the hours together. Now, let me tell you, I used to. Long time ago. That's why I got Parkinson's disease, and that's why I crashed and died and came back wiser for it, with my spirit guides teaching me over the years with my crystal acupuncture to eliminate my history of the negative parts by making them positive. You can't lose anything that you've experienced, like my parents yelling and screaming at one another morning, noon and night. It's stuck in you. You can't get rid of it, but you can say, as a result of experiencing that and knowing the imbalance it caused in me and knowing how miserable I was crying in my pillow every night, I am not going to yell and scream at my husband, or I am not going to yell and scream at my children, or whatever it is. You know, I don't have that situation now because, yes, I'm in my 80th year, and my children are grown adults with their own children who are adults. So, no, I don't have to deal with that. But you need to realize that there are still friends and associates who will say meet you at the church and tell you that they love the church and they're always there, but they're looking for someone to help them out. And if you're not in the mood or have no way to help them out, please be strong and tell them very nicely, I'm so sorry you're having this issue. There may be someone else in the church here that could help you. I'm afraid I'm not available right now. I have my own issues. They'll understand and they won't judge you. So don't be afraid. And even if they did judge you, so what? You're walking away and they're going to go try and find someone else anyway. Know that. Know that you're not the only one in the whole world that can help someone. So let's move on. What is change also about? Maybe you're someone that has always wanted to learn to knit and sew or make jewelry or paint a painting, and you've been telling yourself over the years, I'm not creative, I'm not inventive, I couldn't do that. where did you learn that? You learn that in school when all the other kids are running around looking inventive and doing whatever. You're standing back watching like this saying, I'll never do that, I can't do that. Hey, get out of that mode and realize you're not trying to worry about competition with anyone. You don't have to compete. So if there's a local craft store, a shop, artwork, school, wherever it is, go and be a child with your crayons, as it were, in your mind, or your Meccano set for your boy, whatever it is, and go and play as an adult and discover, as you are guided by the teacher, to know that you have a lot of talent that you never bothered to bring up because of the fear as a child, and now here you are an adult. You've got no one telling you what you can or cannot do. The teacher you're in the class with now is only there to help you and bring it out of you. Nobody's judging you. So even if you, for example, are in a woodwork class and you want to make a little drawer for your trinkets, okay, you might do very well in that class just making the box, but then you look at it and you think it's so plain. Okay, go to another craft store and buy some shells or something and stick them on it, and just do it on your own and just make fun and do whatever you want and make the top different. You could even go to the Goodwill stores and find little boxes and things that people chuck out, and you'd be amazed what they look like after someone who's creative has just reinvented it by painting it and sticking bits on it and giving it away to a family member as a present with maybe a pearl in it or something. Okay, who knows? Your mind can visualize anything you want to make, and once you give yourself permission to start, more images come and you get more creative. Now, what if you want to play an instrument? What if you want to sing? You have to have patience with yourself, obviously. When you're beginning at the bottom of the ladder, the first step is tinkle away on the piano or blow down that thing and just see if you can make a noise. But given time and practice, and this is where you need patience with yourself. Now, when we're children, we run around and we got all sorts of energy, and adults are coming around saying, slow down, be quiet, don't do this, okay? Those kind of directions have cut your creativity in half. So, as an adult, tell yourself, calm down, be patient, try, and if at first you don't succeed, try again. And the more you practice, the better you become. Okay? Some people are just naturally talented. They just pick up a guitar and they can plonk it away and don't even go to a class, just fiddling around with a little book which shows the chords, and then sing a little. So, don't say no. If you want to sing, if you want to play an instrument, if you want to design something, at least attend 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 classes to give yourself a chance to find out just where your heart is in your creative self. Okay? Because, it all begins with you in here. Everybody's brain is different. And if we come to the back of the brain here, this is the deep subconscious. This is where you've stored all the one day when I'm older, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to go out there. Nobody's going to tell me what to do because back here I've got all the ways and means to do it. But I can't develop it while I'm young because nobody will let me because they're all telling me you can't. And then you learn, I can't. And the years go by and you're still saying I can't. Or in American, I can't. So, what we need to say now is, I will do. It's not I can do. Because I can do means perhaps sometime soon, next year and the year after. No, we want to say, I will do now. Or I will do next week. You write it in your diary, set it down. If it's something simple, like you're going to go walking around the block to get some exercise because you sit at a computer all day, every hour set the alarm. When the alarm goes off, you leave the computer, you go out the front door, you walk up and down your street, you have a cup of coffee with you or something, whatever you want. You take a stroll, breathe the air, enjoy life, let your body refresh. Then you go back to the computer because you're working and do another hour. So if you break up the day like that, you won't be so tired by the end of the day, because when you're walking and up and down that road, you're breathing in fresh oxygen. Your brain is getting a new oomph as you do that, and so when you come back, your body, the cells in your body too, are all rejuvenated, and you're going to feel better. And you won't be negative, and you won't sit there hating yourself that you can't do it because you're so tired. Instead, you'll be inspired, like, oh, I've got more energy, and I just want to, see what I can do on the computer that's different. Or maybe you listen to a lecture or a talk, and I hope you're listening to me at this time too. I have many videos on YouTube. All you have to do is type Margaret Rogers Van Coops and my page will come up. Katie Kamara, who's working with me, my partner, puts up my stuff, so do look for things that you would like to listen to. My radio show that I had on Journey into an Unknown World on webtalkradio.net is long down now over the last 2 years, because the owner of that company, also passed on. So many people were lost that we were working with, I'm sure. We all miss them, but they left a hole in our life, and that hole means there's another way. And yes, I had to find another way, and Katie Kamara helped me with that. And so she put all my old shows, 10 years of shows that I had done. I used to do 2 a month, so you can do the math. There's over 100 shows there that are half-hour long, on different topics. My first one that I ever started back in 2010 was on obesity, because at that time it was a big thing in the world. And I tell you what it is and how to work with losing the weight. And of course there are many, many topics that are up now, and they're up on soundcloud.com/Ask Dr. Margaret, Dr. Margaret. And so if you'd like to actually listen to those shows, they're just audio and they're half-hour, you'll see all the topics. Do. And if you'd like to correspond with me about that, I gave my email earlier, hope you wrote it down, but I'll just give you Dr. Margaret, drmargaret, rvc@gmail.com. And if you have a question and want to have a session with me, Professor, Prof, Margaret, rvc@gmail.com. I do read my emails, and I have someone who checks them for me too, so you won't be missed. Don't worry, we'll find you and get back to you. Now, coming on to the change, having encouraged you to realize that every happening in your life, however negative, has a positive side to it, I suggest that you do get yourself a dear diary, and when something comes up that you remember as traumatic, write it out, because your eyes need to see it. Right, instead of just speaking it and losing it in the atmosphere around you and repeating it day in, day out for the rest of your life and keeping yourself in the same mode. Now write it down and look at it. Put it away for a week, then get it open again, read it again, and now write, after that week's gone by, how can I change my point of view? And you will be amazed how many answers, information, little bits and pieces, sentences hither and thither, that flow out of your brain as you think, what can I change here? You are your own doctor, you know. And your spirit guides are going to inspire you, even if you don't know who they are, even if you believe you're not psychic. Sorry, you are. Because your spirit is in your body. And here I need you to hear that in billions of cells that are very different all over your body, for example, your liver cells are very different from your kidney cells, all those cells in your body have friction. And that friction is created by your spirit. It's a little spark of your soul in every cell in your body. Now, if you're sick and ill, you can tell that you haven't been allowing your spirit, your soul, energy to flow. You've been blocking it with fear, pain, anger, guilt, and loss. Worry, 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 worry. What if, maybe, could be, not sure, don't know. And you jam up the energy. And over time, your spirit can't spark in all the cells. And somewhere in your body, that area starts to dim, lose its light. And when it does, suddenly you find yourself ill. That's what happened to my husband with his heart. Because whenever I said to him over the years, and we're talking a lot of time, I would say to him, you can do that. And he'd say, no, but if I do that, I can't do this. And if I do that instead, then I won't be able to do the first thing. And he'd put himself in a quandary constantly. And over the years, that's what he did. He wore his heart out with worry. Not sure, not confident, didn't know if he was doing the right thing. And that came from his childhood, being the eldest son of a big family. You had to be responsible, lead the example for all the others. And so he did what he was told all the time. And it wasn't easy for him as an adult to make a choice. He wanted me to tell him what to do. And of course, when I did, then he didn't want me to tell him. So, what do? You can and you can't. You will and you won't. You shall and you shan't. It just is a constant circle of blocks. You don't want to be in that anymore, do you? I'm sure you don't. You want to be free of that. You want to be free to express yourself. So this is why it's very important that you think about how your situation is now and write it down in this book. And then close the book, leave it for a week or so, see if you do some dreaming, or maybe someone turns up in your life and you have a little chat and you get the point of something. Go back then. Or if you had nothing happen, just go back and read it, and then sit there and write these little notes that come up in your mind below that particular page. And don't forget to date it, because in maybe another 3 months you can go back and read it again, and you will see that you've changed quite a bit just in 3 months. Okay, so now you understand that seeing what you think written down is important. I want you to also understand that when you go and play golf, or you go and make a little box and put fancy things on it, as we mentioned earlier on, now you need to see the depth of your focus. You need to praise yourself. I'd like you to look in the mirror every morning and say, I love you today. And smile like that. I love you today. And take a look at your face and realize that's a face you want people to see for the rest of your life. Not that, oh God, I feel so bad this morning. Look, how do I look in the mirror? No, we don't want to see that anymore. We want to see a happy face. So even if there's trauma, and I know a lot of people right now are going through trauma, because this is the end of the old way and this is the birth of the new way with the moon coming up. Okay, so you want to be able to go on with a fresh start, and you can't drag. And I'm going to give you a symbolic thing. What you've had behind you for a long time is a chain and heavy iron ball, symbolically, that you've been dragging around behind you, trying to do all the new things that you want to do. And you've been doing that for the last, if you're old enough as I am, 20 years. Since the turn of this century. Why? Because we were in the Piscean age, and by 2008 we overlapped the Piscean age with the Aquarian age, the New Age, and we only went into the real essence of the Aquarian age a few years ago. So we left the Piscean age behind. But hey, there's a lot of Piscean people born still, including me, and we've got the old ideas. Whereas the children born now in this new century, they are bringing in new ways of perceptions. They're very psychic, they're very intuitive. So they're running 2 years old and they're running up to parents and saying, don't worry, there's money in the mail next week. And you're like, what do they know? They know nothing. Sure enough, the mail arrives, someone gives you a donation because they heard you need it. You just don't know where it's coming from. But these kids, they know something. Give them credit for running up to you and saying something that's nice and doesn't mean much to you or them really. They're channelers. They're mediums. Their spirit is connected to their spirit guide. So their spirit guide is speaking through them to you to give you a message. So if you've got grandchildren, pay attention to what they say, because they have something to say to you. And if you're a mother, stop running around in circles trying to get everybody everywhere. Ask them, do you really want to do this? And if they say, well, my brother's doing it, I better do it, you have to say, no. Do you want to do it for you? You have to teach them as they grow up that they can make a choice, that they don't have to do what you choose for them. Now, I use my example. I have 4 sons, and when they were young, I put them in judo class. I also had a tap class nearby, and I asked them if they wanted to do tap dancing, and they all said yes. So we lived literally across the road and 2 houses up from the tap dancing class. So they would put on their tap shoes and they would tap across the street and tap down to the 2 houses and go in there and do their class. And I was invited to the end of term tap class, and there were my 4 sons who didn't tell me. They had been secretly learning this lesson and doing this dance for me and Dad. Okay, I get there, I'm tears down my face, no daddy. That was the way it was. He was a drunk, and that's now history and gone, and he's passed over. But those kids were disappointed because he didn't show. Okay, so what did I do? I said a little white lie, but in a way it was the truth. I said, your father is held up. And he did say, take a picture. So I took a picture, and it was a real camera in those days, and had them printed and let the children see it and told them that he'd seen them when he hadn't. But to them, that was like being there. So I want you to understand that sometimes you have to say to your children, I get you, I understand, but here's a way I'll show you. And sometimes you need to protect them from that pain. Shouting, ranting and raving at the children, yes, I did all that in those days because my parents did it to me. And I had to realize I hated it. I hated shouting at them. I would be the one who would shout, and I'd go upstairs in the bedroom and cry because I didn't want to do that. But when you've got 4 very dominant kids, let's put it that way, who were extremely psychic and extremely active in their consciousness, when they got together, boy, we had arguments. It was in the genes, it's in the DNA, it's in the RNA from them hearing Granny and Grandpa arguing or hearing me and Daddy arguing. So when they went into their life, in their adult, I made them all recordings. I said, don't be like me. And of those children today, they're all excellent husbands, and they really care about the children. My eldest never had children, but he teaches judo to the kids, and he's a black belt, and so he's a very loving man with those children. So you see, things can change. The world is different, but even with the best parents, there are children who come in with a negative connotation because they're testers. They're supposed to go out in the world and play up in order to test those who think they got all the answers and realize, how do I really see this child, or how do I really see this person, and what's really going on, instead of judgment and accusations and all the things that we tend to want to do when we're facing someone who's very upsetting. So if you're in a situation like that, you can't bite. You have to step back and observe. What do you see? What do you really see? What do you understand about this person? How can you help without helping too much to make them rely upon you? Well, sometimes it might be something really simple like, Okay, I see you're upset right now. I'll leave you to work on that. I'll talk to you later about it. In other words, give them space. On the other hand, it might be this is the exact absolute moment they need to be with you. Okay, ask yourself, have you really got something important to do? Because if you can defer, like a phone call to someone, I'll be half an hour late, then give that time. And it's not about I'm going to save you and correct you all in 5 minutes. It's about a there. I see you need a hug. I know you're upset and worried, but I can't be with you right now. Can we talk about this when I come back? But I want you to know I'll be thinking about this all day. So when we come back together, we can say, I've got something to say, and you can listen or not. Well, by the time you get back, they may have worked it out for themselves, in which case you don't need to do it. But you're giving them, again, a chance to find their own healing modality. Now, there's a lot of different variations on the theme. Someone said to me a while back that they knew that they were suicidal. They knew there was a gun in the house, and they felt that they were going to try and use that gun, and were worried silly about it and couldn't sleep and tossing and turning, okay, and called me up. This is years and years ago. What should I do? What should I do? I said, do you know where the gun is? She said, yes, but it's under lock and key. Who's got the key? He has. Okay. So I just said something that at the time I didn't know any different, and not being brought up with a world of guns because England didn't have them. I said, well, maybe you could sneak the key off the key ring. So she waited till he was asleep and got the key off. And then there was something about he realized it was missing, and had said something about he wanted to clean the gun, and had she taken the key off his key ring. And of course she said no. And next thing he had her hunting high and low all over that. He couldn't figure out how it got off and hunting, and she got pulled into hunting and looking on the floor of the key, and all the while she's shaking and getting worse and worse. And she couldn't tell him that she had the key, because she's frightened if he got it back he would, kill himself. So she comes back to me and says, what do I do? And I said, just throw it somewhere, anywhere where you didn't look, and leave it, and don't even mention it, don't say anything. Well, wherever she threw it, her kid found it. And so it was back on his key ring. Now she's worried again, and I just said to her, you cannot be responsible for your husband's depressive state of mind. The only thing you can do is try and get him into some sort of group where he can go and discuss it. Well, he never did use the gun, thank God, but their marriage did fall apart as a result of it. And years went by, and she told him that she told me one day, years later, that she was calling to let me know that he had actually taken his life with sleeping pills. So what are we looking at here? This was a woman who knew deep in her soul that this man was going to terminate his life somewhere. And she felt like it was right now and he was going to get that gun. And it was her mind that was thinking that he would shoot himself. But as you see, he never did, because it takes a lot of courage to put that gun in your head or your mouth. Pills, you can fall asleep and just go into la la land and bye-bye. Much easier. And I'm not saying that for anyone who's listening to do that, because I will tell you that if someone finds you and you've taken those kind of numbers of pills, you're likely to be recovered, and then you will have liver kidney damage. Don't do it to yourself, because it's not worth it. Much better to get up, go out, walk up and down the street, like I said, smell the roses, see the wind, breathe the air, go play golf, go and find your creativity, and you will be amazed how quickly your negative depression goes. It only takes you to do one thing you love to do to wash away all the negative things. So here I am at 55 minutes nearly talking to you, and I've given you a lot of insights, I hope, to understand that this is the time to allow the outer planets, Saturn, to say, don't go down the rabbit hole. Come back to the surface and look around you and say, that hole, I'm going to cover it in. I'm going to block it up. I don't want to go down there anymore. It's history. But as a result of the history, look what I've become. I'm wiser, I'm stronger, I'm fit, I can choose anything, I don't owe my life to anyone, I don't owe my time to my wife or husband or kids because they're busy doing their thing. So while they're busy doing their thing, I'm going to be busy doing my thing. And then we can come back and have quality family time when we're all together. And yes, meals together is still one of the best ways to have family time. Watching TV with TV dinners is not family time. So get a dining table. Make some rules. We eat together at least once a day and do it according to suiting everybody in the family. Okay? If you have that kind of quality time, then also play cards, play table games, do anything that allows you all to forget the worries and woes of life and just be together on a common thing. One of the games I used to like to play was guess what? You know, the words are for a movie, a book, or, you know, you do all this and do this kind of thing, and then you act it out, and it's so much fun, and people laugh and giggle. And guess what? When you laugh and giggle, you change the enzymes from your brain all the way down into your glandular system. And by the time you've laughed and had some fun, even though you'll be quietly more tired, more relaxed, and you'll find your worries don't kick in the way, you just are involved in having fun. You are healing yourself. You are rejuvenating yourself. And if you did that every night, playing with family or going out and maybe going bowling or whatever it is you want to do, you're going to have fun. You're going to find the pressures of the distress of things that don't go right aren't so great. You feel safer. Now, here again, I'm going to say, if you want my help, if you want a session online with Zoom, then I can do that with you. Just write to me, drmargaret@gmail.com, and my girl will get back to you and we'll make an appointment for you, give you the Zoom room, and you can come into that. And depending on your issue, could be 1 hour, could be 2 hours. Or if you're really deeply in depression and really need a lot of troubles, then I have some package deals that are expensive, a few hundred to even a few thousand, depending on how long you're going to be with me over a period of time. So I'm also an ordained minister. So yes, if someone has no money, I don't turn you away. I will give you what you need for free. But realize I don't want to be abused here, because there are people who tell you I have no money and they're hoarding their money, and it's not that I want your money, but what I'm saying is don't abuse me by lying to me, because I'll know, because the spirit guides will tell me, okay? No, I need you to be honest and truthful, and with your one issue to start, and we'll do that for free. So again, Dr. Margaret, RVC@gmail.com with just the DR, or Professor, PROF, Margaret, RVC@gmail.com. And I will certainly make time for you. And now I would also say, last but not least, please go back to my old shows that are half an hour on soundcloud.com, Dr. Margaret Speaks, Dr. Margaret Speaks. I don't know if I said the full thing correctly because I haven't got it in front of me, but again, if you go to SoundCloud and just put Ask Dr. Margaret, my shows should come up, you'll find me. And then you can just go down the list and you can see the topics. They're half an hour and you could learn a great deal there without even talking to me. and get your issues sorted, because I deal with a lot of issues there. And if you're wanting to see my face, then go to YouTube. Again, put in Dr. Margaret Rogers Van Coops or just Margaret Rogers Van Coops, and all my videos will come up on my video page. So I want to thank you for listening, and I want to say, don't be afraid to ask for help, not just from me, but anyone nearby. There's always someone. You know what they say, when the student needs a teacher, the teacher appears, and vice versa. When the teacher needs a student, the student appears. So I'm here, and I can help you, whether you want to study with me or you want to get over your issues. So take care. Be happy. Bye.